Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501, A Mystery Above the Great Lakes. Introduction. June 23, 1950 was a tranquil evening as Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501 took off from New York City, bound for Minneapolis. On board were 58 souls, including passengers and crew, all eager to reach their destinations. Little did they know that this flight would etch itself into the annals of aviation history as one of the greatest unsolved mysteries. The flight. As the Douglas DC-4 climbed into the skies, the flight initially proceeded smoothly. The passengers settled in, some reading, others dozing off, unaware of the dark clouds gathering on the horizon. The flight path took them over the Great Lakes, a vast expanse of water that would soon become the site of a haunting disappearance. The storm. By the time Flight 2501 reached Lake Michigan, weather conditions had worsened dramatically. Thunderstorms erupted, sending jagged streaks of lightning across the darkened sky. The pilots attempted to navigate through the turbulent weather, but reports from other aircraft indicated severe turbulence ahead. It was then that communication from the flight ceased abruptly. The disappearance. As night fell, the flight was lost from radar. Concerned air traffic controllers tried to re-establish contact, but to no avail. When no distress signal was received, a massive search and rescue operation was launched, involving multiple aircraft and boats scouring the vastness of Lake Michigan. The chilling reality began to set in. Flight 2501 had vanished. The search effort. Over the next several days, the search team scoured the waters and surrounding areas. They found debris, small pieces of the aircraft, personal belongings, and some human remains. However, the bulk of the aircraft and most of the passengers were never recovered. The search lasted for weeks, but eventually had to be called off, leaving families in despair and questions unanswered. Theories and speculations. The mystery surrounding Flight 2501 led to countless theories. Some believed that the aircraft may have encountered a catastrophic structural failure due to the turbulence. Others speculated about a possible mid-air explosion, while some suggested that the severe weather may have contributed to the tragic outcome. The lack of definitive evidence meant that speculation ran rampant. Legacy. The disappearance of Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501 remains one of the most enigmatic incidents in aviation history. It prompted changes in how weather was monitored for commercial flights, leading to improved safety protocols. The mystery of Flight 2501 still captivates aviation enthusiasts, and memorials exist for those who lost their lives that fateful night. Conclusion. Though decades have passed since that stormy night in June 1950, the legacy of Flight 2501 endures. The stories of the passengers aboard continue to resonate, reminding us of the unpredictable nature of flight and the enduring mystery that still lingers over Lake Michigan. The families affected by this tragedy have carried their memories forward, ensuring that the tale of Flight 2501 will never be forgotten. The unyielding mystery. Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501, the vanishing over Lake Michigan. A fateful departure. On June 23, 1950, at approximately 7:31 p.m., Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501, a Douglas DC-4, departed from New York's LaGuardia Airport. The aircraft was scheduled for a routine overnight flight to Seattle, Washington, with a stopover in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The plane carried 55 passengers and 3 crew members, including the experienced Captain Robert Lind, who had logged more than 17,000 hours in the air. The DC-4 was a popular and reliable 4-engine aircraft, commonly used for transcontinental flights. Passengers that evening were a mix of business travelers, families, and vacationers, each with their hopes and plans for the days to come. As the aircraft ascended into the evening sky, the passengers settled in for what should have been an uneventful journey, unaware of the turbulence that awaited them above the waters of Lake Michigan. Journey into the storm. Flight 2501 cruised at an altitude of 3,500 feet, cutting through the night sky and heading toward the Midwest. But as the hours passed, the weather conditions began to deteriorate rapidly. A violent cold front was moving through the Great Lakes region, bringing heavy thunderstorms, high winds, and lightning that lit up the sky like a strobe. Captain Lind was well aware of the worsening weather and requested clearance to descend to 2,500 feet, hoping to avoid the brunt of the storm. The request was denied due to heavy air traffic. Meanwhile, passengers aboard the aircraft may have begun to feel the jarring turbulence, clenching their armrests or holding onto their seats as the plane rocked through the stormy night. The rumbling thunder and flashes of lightning outside would have painted a harrowing picture for those awake enough to witness the unfolding chaos. But even as the crew did their best to reassure the passengers, no one could foresee the tragedy that was about to strike. The final transmission. At around 11:13 p.m., somewhere above the waters of Lake Michigan, Flight 2501 made its last radio transmission. Captain Lind, calm but firm, acknowledged his current position, but did not indicate any immediate distress. Shortly after, communication with the aircraft ceased abruptly. Air traffic controllers in Chicago made multiple attempts to reach the flight, but all efforts failed. The plane and everyone aboard had vanished into the stormy darkness. The dawn of desperation. As morning broke, families expecting their loved ones grew anxious. News spread quickly that Flight 2501 was missing, prompting a massive search and rescue operation. The U.S. Coast Guard, Navy, and civilian vessels were mobilized to comb Lake Michigan and its shores for any sign of the aircraft. Rescue aircraft crisscrossed the skies, peering down at the vast expanse of water below. The search was extensive, covering hundreds of square miles, yet the lake seemed determined to keep its secrets. Pieces of debris soon began to wash up on the eastern shores of Lake Michigan near South Haven, Michigan. Personal items such as luggage, wallets, and clothing were collected, and small fragments of the aircraft's fuselage were retrieved. Gruesome discoveries were also made. Human body parts, barely identifiable, floated to the surface. However, the main wreckage, along with the fuselage and engines of the aircraft, was never located. The lake's waters, deep and impenetrable, continued to conceal the answers. Unanswered questions. The disappearance of Flight 2501 left investigators puzzled. With no black boxes available in that era and limited forensic evidence, the Civil Aeronautics Board struggled to piece together what had happened. The official report cited that the plane likely succumbed to severe weather and possible structural failure caused by turbulence. Yet, without the wreckage or more substantial evidence, this conclusion remained speculative. Theories began to circulate in the aftermath of the disaster. Some speculated that the plane might have experienced a lightning strike or engine failure due to the storm. Others suggested that a catastrophic structural failure could have caused the aircraft to break apart mid-air. More speculative theories even emerged, including ones involving UFOs or government cover-ups, fueled by the unexplained nature of the incident. However, none of these theories could be definitively proven. The search continues. Over the decades, the families of the 58 victims have sought closure, but the wreckage of Flight 2501 remains elusive. In more recent years, advances in sonar and underwater search technology have prompted new efforts to locate the plane. In 2004, Michigan Shipwreck Research Associates, a non-profit group dedicated to preserving the history of the Great Lakes, conducted expeditions to find the lost aircraft. Despite numerous attempts, the main wreckage has yet to be discovered, and the search continues to this day. Divers and historians have scoured Lake Michigan's murky depths, exploring shipwrecks and underwater anomalies, hoping that one day the remnants of Flight 2501 will reveal themselves. Each year, as the anniversary of the disaster comes around, new pieces of the puzzle are hoped for, but the enigma remains intact. A haunting legacy. Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501 stands as a somber reminder of the unpredictability of nature and the fragility of human life. Memorials have been erected in remembrance of those lost, including a plaque near South Haven, Michigan, where debris and remains once washed ashore. The families of the victims, who waited years for answers, still hold on to memories of their loved ones, many of whom remain resting beneath the waters of Lake Michigan. The mystery has inspired books, documentaries, and continued public interest. Lake Michigan has a history of maritime and aviation disasters, but few have captured the collective imagination quite like the story of Flight 2501. It remains a cautionary tale about the powerful forces of nature and a case that continues to captivate investigators, historians, and aviation enthusiasts. In conclusion, the disappearance of Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501 remains one of the most compelling aviation mysteries of the 20th century. As each year passes, the hope of solving this case dims slightly, yet the dedication to uncovering the truth never wanes. The dark waters of Lake Michigan still guard their secret, holding within them the remains of a plane, its passengers, and a story waiting to be fully told. Until then, the legend of Flight 2501 endures, a ghostly whisper over the Great Lakes, forever shrouded in mystery.